You certainly do not need to go scour the internet for critical videos and negative videos and mean videos about creators you like. Like, I don't get that. I don't understand the purpose. There are a bunch of YouTubers that I love watching. I have never sought out a mean video about one of those creators. I don't understand. What's the point? Hey there. Wasn't sure if I was going to have a video for you guys this week, but something happened last week, so let's talk about it. As many of you know, I am moving here shortly now. The ticker is down to about 2.5 weeks. And I do want to talk about some bigger, more important things like the Free Britney movement, to include the documentary on Hulu, Framing Britney Spears, I think is what it's called, as well as Jeffree Star Part 2. I do want to get these out to you in the next month or so. But you guys probably understand that moving, I don't want to say across the country, but states away is a big undertaking. So I'm going to work with what I have for now. Another thing that's coming too is that I wanted to do a glasses try-on haul, which I wanted to do for this video, but I'm still waiting for one of those pairs to show up. So that should be coming soon as well. I'm going to try to take care of it in sound editing, but if you do hear my space heaters, I apologize, but it is frigid here, as I understand it is in many places. So you probably get it. But yeah, let's talk about that title, My Obsession with Gabbie Hanna. At this point, I'm just going to lean into the rumor that I am obsessed with Gabbie Hanna. But also tell you guys about what's going on when it happens, because when not much is going on in the YouTube sphere, but a large creator tries to come for you, why not talk about your own experiences, right? So, insert time. But in all seriousness, I am ready for this to be the end of any interpersonal connection between me and Gabbie Hanna. I would love nothing more than to go back to making regular commentary videos, whether that involves Gabbie Hanna or not, but I would love for them not to involve me. Even if I'm okay through these situations, they're still icky feeling. They're embarrassing and they detract from the actual focus of my channel. So I'm moving on with my life to a new city. Gabbie's found her new self. I would love if we as creators and our supporters could all just kind of go our separate ways and not get personally involved. Twitter is where dreams go to die. So if we can just not check up on each other and not interact with each other on Twitter or do our best, I think that's our best bet at having a drama-free experience, at least on this side of the fence, if that makes sense. So thank you. Also, you're going to hear me say insert time as if it's the first time later in the video. Obviously it's not. This is because editing. Okay, thanks. Bye. I do want to point out though that while I do have stans in my comments and tweets and everywhere convincing me that I'm obsessed with Gabbie Hanna, there are occasionally some of you out there who speak to my speaking about Gabbie Hanna in such a way that you want to express that you want to look out for me, for lack of a better word, because of what happened last summer and how difficult that was for me. And so to those of you guys, I want to give a big thank you. Thank you for caring so much. But I also want to reassure you guys that I'm good. I would not be making this video if I didn't feel quite comfortable where I am with that situation now, because as it stands, I dealt with that hate mob back in the summer and the stands never went away. So I've kind of had to adjust to kind of this resting state, stan harassment constant that goes on in my life. And once you get used to that, it's like, what else is going to happen that's going to get to me? So unless one of them commits a crime, which they've done before. So if that's what you're concerned about, keep me in your prayers. But I'm not too worried at this moment. So we're good. I just want to talk about what happened last week. Parts of the situation are frustrating. Parts of the situation are hilarious. Parts of the situation are confusing. And I did get on live stream last week as everything was kind of going down to explain what was happening, but that was like an hour long. So here I'm going to try to boil everything down for you. So if you keep up with my videos, then you might have seen last week I posted a video about the Vlog Squad, just kind of like Vlog Squad drama that is not often talked about. I talked about Trisha Paytas, Big Nick, Scotty Sire, Brandon Calvillo, Jason Nash, Jeff Wittick, Aaron Guilfoyle, Corinna Kopf, Toddy Smith, David Dobrik, Eliza Koshy, and Gabbie Hanna. There might have been some others, but it was a video about the Vlog Squad. And in that video, I briefly revisited the whole Jeanette Riot's tweet situation. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, please go back and watch that because I've mentioned it in a couple of videos, or I'll just put a clip right here. You cannot convince me that this account was not either Gabbie herself or that arrogant ass little sister of hers.
I get more likes in 20 minutes than you have followers. And whether or not you think my ratio is good or you think I get enough likes or views, you are still more irrelevant than me. So if you want to call me irrelevant, what do you think that makes you?
That either is way too involved in her business on the internet or she uses it as a scapegoat. But yeah, I spent about 30 seconds, if I'm being generous, I think, of a 43-minute video speculating that perhaps this Jeanette Riot Vlog Squad drama source person is likely Gabbie Hanna, but is possibly one of her sisters. And I did point out that one of Gabbie Hanna's sisters is quite arrogant. In fact, I called her Gabbie's arrogant ass little sister. And I shared a clip supporting why I think that and went on with my video. And the next morning, I woke up to a handful of comments along the lines of, "How dare you talk about Cecilia? All she's ever done is tried to stay out of her sister's drama, and you're coming for a teenager," or something like that. All of these comments had essentially the same language, so something tells me that someone said something that then a bunch of fans parroted. That's almost always what that means. I don't know much about Cecilia, but I do want to give a couple of details. I haven't verified how old she is. When I made the comment, I thought that she was like 16. Then some people were saying, "How dare you? You waited until she turned 18 to say these things about," like, bitch. And this is not anybody specific. This is general, bitch. Bitch, I didn't know about this girl until I saw this clip of her on Twitter in the past week. So let's see if the internet can provide me an age. Yeah, she's 18 years old. Not that I think that matters at all. And also looking at some important details, I think. Cecilia is Gabbie Hanna's sister. I think I've made that clear. Maybe not. That's why I gotta state it. Cecilia is Gabbie Hanna's sister. She has almost 409,000 followers on TikTok. So like, good job, girl. That's a decent, well, I understand on TikTok it's easy to get a lot of followers, but that sounds like a sizable platform to somebody who doesn't spend any time on TikTok. But yeah, she's verified. She's got a legitimate platform at this point, I would say. Would you agree? I honestly don't have much to say about this girl. I didn't watch any of her tweets except briefly. I clicked on one where she was singing. And then, of course, the tweet that I provided the clip of in my video. What's funny is that some people were saying that I took that clip out of context. There was no other context. In this clip, this girl was comparing people to herself in a way that belittled these people, whoever it was that was criticizing her or wondering why she was verified or something like that. She was placing these people below her because she said,
I get more likes in 20 minutes than you have followers. You are still more irrelevant than me.
She gets more likes in the first 20 minutes of posting a TikTok than you guys have followers. So if that makes her irrelevant, what does that make you? Less than irrelevant. Is that a big jump for me to make? So yeah, my one of my followers called it arrogant on Twitter. I agreed. Let's remember that that's not what my video was about, but it is something that I said briefly. What I didn't clarify in that original video was that I often hear Gabbie Hanna talking about her sister. She doesn't say my sisters or one of my sisters. She just says my sister. She often talks about her sister's involvement in her drama online. I think I mentioned briefly that she would say things like, I didn't watch the hate videos, my sister told me about it, or my sister watched it.
Oh, right. It was my sister.
I tweeted at her a while ago and tagged her, and then she reached out to me and said, my sister told me that you tweeted at me.
That's right, I saw it with my sister.
So my point in bringing up Cecilia and or Gabbie's sisters in general was to say that Gabbie does bring up her sisters, so it's possible that one of them could be this Jeanette Riot person. I do think it's funny that a lot of those comments said that Cecilia has only tried to ever stay out of her sister's drama or whatever, when I believe people told me that she was the one who made the TikTok saying something like, you think you can hurt my feelings, Gabbie Hanna's my sister, or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like she kind of rode on the coattails of her sister's drama. Though I don't think that there are 409,000 people out there that are fans of Gabbie Hanna's and just want to latch on to Cecilia. So I am not saying that Cecilia got her following from Gabbie Hanna's followers. I'm sure that there's a good bit of overlap, but I don't think it's fair to say that she's completely stayed out of Gabbie Hanna's drama and drama in general. I mean, as soon as this came to my attention, their girl had already made a TikTok about me, which I didn't watch. I think that this is an important thing, and I wish that Gabbie Hanna and her followers would pay attention to this idea. Not that I want to go out and give all kinds of unsolicited advice, but I do think that this is important. Love me, hate me, whether I love you, hate you, I do think it's important to note that you don't need to watch everything about you, especially when you know it's negative. And you certainly do not need to go scour the internet for critical videos and negative videos and mean videos about creators you like. Like, I don't get that. I don't understand the purpose. It seems sadomasochistic to me. There are a bunch of YouTubers that I love watching. I have never sought out a mean video about one of those creators. I don't understand. What's the point? And then to seek those out, because I know y'all are following me and my every move, which is ironic considering this whole obsession narrative, but to seek out those videos and then to broadcast that to that creator, to tell that creator, hey, look what so-and-so said about you. It's just, why? Why would anybody want that? Now, I'm not saying like, oh, don't tell Gabbie Hanna that I said this thing about her. It's out there. It's public. I just don't understand why these people are seeking something that they know is going to upset them. And so when it came to the TikTok that Cecilia made about me, I could already guess that it probably wasn't going to be nice. And so I tell my patrons, my followers, my friends, my audience, they know that in general, like, there's no need to send me screenshots of mean things people are saying about me or videos where people are saying mean things about me. Occasionally it happens, but for the most part, they know that it doesn't serve anyone to just show me the shit talk that people are doing online about me. So I don't know if that's something that Gabbie has talked to her audience about, like, hey, please don't, like, send me clips and screenshots and all that, but you guys really don't need to go seeking this stuff out. As much as you guys are giving me views and engagement and you guys claim that that's all I care about, I do think that you and I both might be happier if you stopped following me altogether. Like, I am giving you permission to stop following me. And if you're going to continue following me and hearing what I have to say, then if you get your feelings hurt, who is that on honestly. If I say anything over the line, I will own that. But at this point, I don't think I have. I called somebody arrogant. That was a judgment call on her bad behavior. And so she got upset. She made a TikTok about me. She's 18, whatever. Like, I get it. I'm not going to be like, well, I just called her arrogant. Like, why is she upset with me? No, I get it. I called her arrogant, and like, nobody wants to be called arrogant. I do think that Cecilia should pay attention to criticism like that and think about how she wants to be responsible with her platform and the image, the brand, the reputation she wants to build. At this rate, it does look like she's following in Gabbie's footsteps, and that is concerning. So if this gets back to you, Cecilia, in that one clip that I saw of you, you seemed very arrogant. If that was completely uncharacteristic of what you're like in any other video, then I apologize that I made a judgment call based off of one video. But that does go to show us what one video can do. This is the internet, folks. But there are a couple of other problems with this too. I have my own barometer, if you will, in terms of what is okay to say and what is not okay to say. What is criticism and what is bullying or hate or harassment. And so in this case, like I said, I made a judgment call on somebody's bad behavior. I think a good number of people would agree that pointing out numbers and how somebody is beneath you is bad behavior on the part of a public figure, a verified public figure, especially one that likely has young fans. However, Cecilia took to Twitter to call me weird, which thankfully I learned from about 7 years old to take as a compliment. I don't know. The first time somebody called me weird, I said thank you. And it's never really hit the way that I think some people want it to. Which is funny because later I'll be called boring by her sister. So it's like weird, but boring, but like those two don't go hand in hand. Anyway, even though that doesn't get to me, to call somebody weird is mean. Okay, insert time. And just as a forewarning, I think we're going to have a few of these. I just wanted to point out here that I often hear Gabbie Hanna talking about how she learned essentially how to be a mean girl, that situations and circumstances kind of thrust her into these social circles that taught her bad behavior, that taught her how to be mean, and that she was a victim or became a victim of these very people who taught her how to be mean. In none of these instances does Gabbie own the fact that she just was mean, or that perhaps she is mean sometimes, and that's on her and nobody else. Because sure, circumstances are circumstances, but those are not your only option when it comes to friends. There are decent people who exemplify good behavior, that are good influences, and there are some of us who actually were nerds and dorks and uncool and unpopular. There's more than just the popular kids. And those of us who are unpopular oftentimes were targets of the high school bullies. So I just want everybody to pay attention to that when Gabbie is rattling off about how she has been at the hands of all these mean high school bully types that she befriended, that she's nothing like, while tweeting these awful insults at me, and we see her little sister doing it too. Just pay attention to the tweets. That's all I ask. So, I called you arrogant. I just now said I apologize if that is not characteristic of how you are, but you're mean. Or at least in this instance, to call somebody weird falls under the category of bullying. Correct me if I'm wrong, and back it up with logic. Bad behavior. And I thought that was about the end of it until I started to see some tweets from, well, I didn't see the tweets from Gabbie Hanna until somebody said, hey, Gabbie Hanna is subtweeting about you right now. So I thought, oh, okay. I went and checked. I told you guys back in the summer that I blocked Gabbie Hanna because she was DMing me, even though I blocked her on my phone. But in recent months, I have come to have a lot more empathy for Gabbie Hanna. I've noticed that while I don't find her content interesting anymore, now that she's kind of found herself in weed and aliens, and I'm sorry if that sounds condescending, that's just what the content looks like to me. It's not interesting to me anymore. And she hasn't really been involved in drama the past couple of months. So I really haven't paid much attention to her. I have not watched much of her videos. And at some point I unblocked her. And just for funsies, I decided to jot down the top 10 things I could think about that I think about before thinking about Gabbie Hanna. I have interior design, my boyfriend, my upcoming move, my job, my closest friends, Christina, Christy, Ashley, and Amber, fashion, my diet and how it could be better, my finances, my family, God. I could keep on going, but I think you get the point. And so when people alerted me to the fact that Gabbie Hanna was subtweeting about me, I checked it out and saw a tweet that said, "It's so weird to me that becoming a public figure is a free pass for people to harass and slander you and your family. Using and harming other human beings as a way to make money is sociopathic behavior. You won't convince me otherwise." Here's where the fans love to tell me that, like, you're so vain. You probably think this tweet is about you. I tweeted in response. I retweeted Gabbie's tweet, which is unavailable now that she's blocked me. Did I mention? She's blocked me now. To those of you fans who say that, like, Gabbie is not thinking about me, tweeting about me, etc., she blocked me. I said to her, I called her arrogant because of a video she posted calling people sub-irrelevant and beneath her. But you say worse about people and still think yourself a victim, so I'm talking to a wall at this point. Moral? Don't act arrogant if you don't want people to call you arrogant. So then soon thereafter, another Gabbie Hanna tweet pops up. I didn't see this until I saw this guy clock her on a lie right away. But the tweet reads, "The fact that I'm talking about hashtag Free Britney and everyone thinks that I'm talking about myself is very telling." Side-eye emoji. I'm sure someone is narcissistic enough to think it's about them despite me not naming anyone, so they'll just be exposing themselves at that point. Whatever, lol. First of all, I hope this gets to Gabbie Hanna. This needs to stop. Because you've been doing this for as long as I've known who you are. This, like, cryptic bullshit, telling people that they can't get offended because they weren't named, and then saying that if people notice that something is about them, don't tell me it's not about me, that if people notice that something is or might be about them based on things that you've said in the past, that they are outing themselves and that they are narcissistic. And that's gaslighting. That is gaslighting. There are so many terms, and I hate this so much for the internet. There are so many terms that have been misused and abused by Gabbie Hanna and her fandom that they lose their meaning. Which just reminded me of what the title of this video is, which talks about the vocabulary that Gabbie Hanna uses and how she misuses these words. I have a list here that gaslighting, harassment, slander, arrogance, narcissism, sociopath, stalking. I don't think that either she doesn't know what these words mean or she's misused them and abused them so many times that they've changed meaning. And then I also have a clip from the time that I had an interaction with her. So I'll show that here. She did say, while things were getting heated, several times that I was being abusive, manipulative, gaslighting. I have a list of all the words that she's used to describe me. And I want to reiterate, because I've told you guys this before, I've told you guys this since, I have never called Gabbie Hanna a narcissist, much less a sociopath. I did start to talk about in this last live stream about how I don't call her these things, but I'm watching these psychologists on YouTube and elsewhere talking about certain behavior that is attributed to narcissism and how that behavior is behavior that Gabbie Hanna is not just displaying, but is the poster child for. That's as far as I've gone in terms of that, just wondering if perhaps this is something that's going on. But I've never called her, I've never diagnosed her, and I've never used those words as a means of insulting her. So, and I talked to her about this in those conversations where we were somewhat friendly with each other. We talked about how people call her these things, and she doesn't like it. And with good reason, she doesn't like people calling her a narcissist. None of us have any business calling anybody else a narcissist unless, one, it's been told to us and verified, or two, if you are somebody's doctor and you are diagnosing them. Otherwise, it's nobody's business to call somebody else a narcissist. Yet, Gabbie Hanna, who hates it so much when people call her a narcissist or a sociopath or whatever, freely will call me one. And like, what? And why me? Like, why does she care so much about me? For people to be like, you're so obsessed with Gabbie Hanna. Like, why is Gabbie so affected by what I have to say when I am not nearly as mean to her as most creators are who talk about her? And I have the smallest platform, I think, I would say of any channel that I know Gabbie has given attention to, but that is likely not true because I imagine she has sicked her fans on people who have little to no platform. But the point is, my channel is very small, especially compared to, these other channels that have spoken negatively about Gabbie Hanna. So certain people have their theories as to why I happen to get to her. I'll let those be theories because theories are theories and not fact. But the funny part is about that text. Let's get back to that. She says she's talking about Free Britney, right? And so I'm a narcissist, or someone is a narcissist for thinking that it might be about them. Somebody quickly called her out and said, "This you?" And took a screenshot of the comment section of her original tweet. "It's so weird to me that becoming a public figure is a free pass for people to harass and slander, blah, blah, blah." In the comments, one of her fans says, "They're obsessed with you because you're successful and they'll never be." And her response is, "I know, LOL." But yeah, you're talking about Free Britney, so what does that have to do with people being jealous of your success? What's more glaring to me, though, is when has anyone ever talked about the Free Britney movement without so much as mentioning Britney Spears, much less using the tag #FreeBritney. It's like posting a super cryptic tweet that might be about you and be like, it was about Black Lives Matter, obviously. It's like, no. When you're trying to advocate and be some sort of activist, you make it known what you are advocating for. And the comment section here just proves that she's a liar. I don't know that I've ever called her that before outright. No, I usually try to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that I don't think that she is a liar. I think that she believes the things that she's saying. But here, she is outright lying to everybody. And she's lying because she doesn't want to own up to what she was actually doing, and thus gaslit me for clocking the fact that it was about me, or my followers clocking that it was about me and alerting me to that. And you know what, Gabbie? Whether that was about me or someone else, that tweet was not about #FreeBritney. You can't convince me otherwise. It goes without saying that we should not be calling people narcissists and sociopaths. It is bad behavior, no matter who you are. It's not okay. I get it. You were BFFs with Shane for a while. Doesn't make it okay. Because Shane Dawson and his armchair psychology taught you that it's okay to assume people are sociopaths because they don't like you. But the other concern I have is how much Gabbie Hanna has proved to coddle bad behavior in teenagers. Not just talking about the stance, which is a whole other thing, this whole encouragement of not just bad behaviors, but criminal behavior and actual criminal harassment and stalking. You want to talk about stalking? Ask your followers how they found my personal email address. Ask your followers about how they spent at least 12 hours overnight signing me and Jen Dent up for spam email lists. You want to talk about harassment? Talk about how a number of your fans have doxed me as well as Ambrin, Jen Dent, God knows who else. Talk about stalking and harassment. Let's talk about that false SA allegation that your followers wanted to spread. One of them in particular said that they should spread like wildfire, accusing Jen Dent of committing a horrendous act on a little girl that was completely baseless and just intended to make Jen look bad. Her followers wanted to spread this false allegation. One of them said, like I said, to spread it like wildfire because, I'm paraphrasing here, but if Jen can throw around accusations, we can too. And when that follower, a teenager, I think the fan was about 16 at the time, when that teenager found out that they might get in trouble for that, she panicked. And it's very unfortunate what happened, kind of what this panic led her to do. But Gabbie went on a video to place blame on people in my camp. I hate to use that word, but like people on my side of this issue who were trying to tell teenagers to stop fucking committing crimes. That you could get in trouble. That's what we said. You could get in trouble. That's what we said. And Gabbie went online to say her stalkers and her haters led this fan to do these really dark, awful things and sent her to a place where she, like, I don't want to get into the details, but it's just, it's this protection of bad behavior. And it's not just protection of bad behavior, but it's modeling bad behavior because, there was another tweet that I saw. Let me see. How dare I think this might be about me when this happened around the time that she blocked me. Obsessed, unhinged individuals following someone's every move to try and twist a narrative because they're too boring on their own for people to care about them is not what anyone ever signed up for. Stalking and harassment should not be viewed as quote unquote part of the job. I have never, maybe this is not about me because I have never said that she signed up for this, that this is part of the job. People have said you are a public figure, so you are opened up to criticism. I'm included in that. I have a much smaller platform than you and your sister. But I understand that rude. But I understood and I understand that by taking this job, I am open to criticism. And believe it or not, I receive it. And, it's not always easy, but I try to do my best to recognize when it is fair. No, stalking and harassment is not part of the job. It's not part of anyone's job. It's not okay. So don't accuse people of doing it when they're not. Also, stalking and harassment is not part of my job, so maybe you need to talk to your fans about that. Please do, because they're doing so in your name. They're doing so with your face attached to it. Twisting a narrative because they're too boring on their own. If compared to Gabbie Hanna, what I am is boring. Yeah, I'll take that. You're right. I live my life. I have my job. I have my friends. I sound like Gabbie.
This is a super quick reminder to like this video and subscribe to my channel if that's something you want to do. If that's not something you want to do, just don't. I'll shut up and start talking now.
I have my life that is not completely steeped in drama and controversy with people all the time. It is something I commentate on, but it is not something that is part of my everyday life. And if that makes me boring, by God, I'll stay boring for as long as I can. And honestly, it's just like I said, once Gabbie Hanna started talking about like just weed and aliens, but wasn't involved in drama, wasn't being problematic, honestly. Yeah, I found her content to be boring, and that's not a bad thing. Just for what it's worth, prior to that, there was like a short period there where she was making content and it was kind of like her old content. And since I had started to come to terms with everything, like I actually started to enjoy her content again. But then this whole new me happened and I just was turned off. I find that boring, and that's okay. But I wouldn't go online and call people these names. I have been pretty scathing towards Gabbie Hanna, but name calling is not something that I do. And so I find that the irony that she wants to call everybody a bully. Everybody's so mean to her. She's such a victim. She knows that she's such a victim. She doesn't deny the fact that people say this about her because she knows she's the victim all the time of all these manipulators and abusers and all of that, when she is the one calling people obsessed, unhinged, not just boring, but too boring on their own for people to care about them. So are you pulling a Cecilia and placing me below you? Because I just want to check. Or whoever you're talking about, since this is probably not about me. Narcissist, sociopath. Like, it is not okay for Gabbie Hanna to ever tell us that she's being bullied when she's the one who uses this language against the people that she doesn't like. Especially when they're not doing it to her. Gabbie Hanna, this is not what the video was about originally, but you're the bully. I'm saying it. You are the bully. You're the high school bully that's been there all along. And you are modeling shit behavior for your sister Cecilia. So gaslighting, harassment, narcissism, sociopathy, manipulation, abuse, you've got to find new words. Use words that actually describe what you're talking about. Because at this point, you're becoming the girl who cried wolf. Because these things that you're saying, slander and harassment, they're not happening. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse than just you being the girl who cried wolf. You're crying wolf for everyone, because now when anybody uses those terms, it's just been so convoluted by the definitions that you have attached to them. So cut it out. So at this point, I've vented. I'm fine with that.
One more insert time for the sake of transparency and fairness. I did speak earlier in this video about name calling and how Gabbie Hanna does it a lot and that I don't do it to her. And as a rule, I do think that that is still true. However, around this situation, I don't think that's necessarily true that I have never name called at her. I effectively called her a little bee in a reply to my own tweet. The original tweet was something that I essentially echoed in this video. It says, the fact that some people throw around the word narcissist but call it unfair when people say it about them is very telling. The fact that they would subtweet and turn it around on others for picking up on the subtweet is classic gaslighting, another word they may not understand. And because that sounded like a subtweet, I tagged Gabbie Hanna in the replies and I said, yes, you. I'm not a little bee. I can call you by name. This isn't typically how I speak to people, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not sorry for speaking this way to Gabbie Hanna. I hate to use words that she so commonly abuses, but I felt so gaslit and manipulated, I wanted it all to stop. And oftentimes when people use mean language like this, you hear, don't respond. That's what they want. When people are mean to you, they just want to get a rise out of you and they want you to react. I didn't, and I don't. I think this might have been the catalyst for Gabbie blocking me. And with her blocking me, I started to feel like, okay, this is done, I hope. So, yep, I said that I'm not a little bitch, and the implication is that by Gabbie's behavior, she is. If you can use better words, use better words. If you think that I'm mean for saying it, I'm not going to disagree with you. But I really think this is the only way you get Gabbie Hanna to stop, and that sucks. And please don't tell me that if I wanted to stop, not to talk about her anymore. I'm not going to do that. I've said this before. This is what I came to YouTube to do. It's what I want to do. I want to talk about the creators that give me something to talk about. I just think the Twitter wars are the most toxic part of all of this and the part that hurts me and those who watch my videos. And probably Gabbie Hanna and her fans too. I don't know how involved she is, but I would ask her fans to please stop watching my videos. if they upset you. And to my followers, please don't send me screenshots of any tweets or anything like that unless it's something that I need to see and take care of. And do everything you can not to engage in the drama around these situations, because it just turns into a vicious cycle of destruction where nothing gets across to anyone and people just hurt. So I'm asking for some peace here. This video was meant to make some points about some very important topics, but fuck Twitter wars. They're not cute. Thanks.
Hope this gave you a quicker rundown of everything that's happened. This video is longer than I expected it to be. What's new? That's literally every single video except for Jeffree Star Part 1 that I thought was going to be a lot longer. We'll see how Part 2 goes. To you, the one person who's watching, who's not me, who stayed to the end, again, I love you, dude. And you guys will see me in my next video. All right, thanks. Bye.